What's up, world? This is Salim with Flip for Figs, and today I'm going to rank my top 10 Hot Toys Star Wars figures in my collection. Let's get into it.
Flip for Figs.
When I flip, you flip, we flip.
Alright, so kicking things off with number 10 on my list, this is the Royal Guard. Now, this figure definitely should have been a 2-pack. I mean, let's be honest, if you have Emperor Palpatine, chances are you want two of them around him, which is how I have them displayed. And, unfortunately, since they weren't available as a 2-pack, the cost of each figure is really expensive. But I just love this figure. I mean, I know it's super simple, and I know you're probably thinking, wait a minute, this is number 10 on his list of all time? Well, yeah, I mean, my collection is still growing. With that said, I do have a lot of the staples that you would expect in a Star Wars collection. So that should tell you how much I love the Royal Guard. The figure is extremely simple. In fact, when I was a kid, my little Kenner figure, I don't even think that it had arms. I think it was just like the red robe. So I never realized there was a maroon undersuit underneath, which I don't love, to be honest with you, because I love the colors red and black, and the maroon kind of kills it for me. So I do try to hide it, behind the cloak a little bit. But yeah, I love these figures. Again, I really love having them in my collection, and they're so striking because of the color, especially in the display cabinet around Palpatine, and the fact that there's two of them. So yeah, I mean, when I look at my collection, even though these figures are simple and they came with very little accessories, just a few hands and this staff, I mean, I really just can't deny that I love the way it looks and I love having it in my collection. So there you have it, number 10 on my list, the Royal Guard. All right, number 9 is Padme from Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. What can I say? I love Natalie Portman. I'm a huge fan of hers. I think I fell in love with her when I saw the previews for Star Wars Attack of the Clones back in the day. I've been a huge fan of her ever since. I love her acting. I think she's amazing. And so, of course, Padme is an iconic character from the prequels, and every prequel collection needs a Padme figure in their collection. And this is all we have. Unfortunately, this is the only figure of Padme Amidala that Hot Toys has given us. They've given us 4 Princess Leias, but only 1 Padme, which is weird because Padme has so many more, iconic outfits. I mean, all of her looks from Episode 1, whether she's dressed up as the queen or just dressed up, as the handmaiden. Obviously, she has a lot of looks from Episode 2 and 3. So I'm hoping we get more Padme figures in the future. But for now, this is the only one we have. And it is one of her most iconic looks, even though it is a very simple white outfit. I like to think it's an homage to Princess Leia's Episode 4 look with the all white. The boots are sculpted plastic, not pleather, but her, her belt and holster are made of pleather. But I think it looks great. The little silver accent on her arm is really cool. And I like that she comes with a blaster as well as her Naboo pistol. And, the face sculpt, I think, is amazing, which is funny because when I first looked at pictures like blogger photos or reviews, I was like, it doesn't really look like her. But once I received it in hand, it was so striking, the resemblance. And it's odd because you may not see it in this video, you may not see it in photos, you may not even see it in your own collection all the time, because there are times I walk by and I'm like, maybe it's not there. But when you see it, and it just looks just like her. It's almost, it's really crazy how much it looks like her. So I think they did a great job on the face sculpt. And it's a wonderful figure. I love, the more prequel figures, the better, in my opinion. And the more Padme figures we get, hopefully the better. But this is the only one we have, so it's number 9 on my list. All right, for number 8, I have Han Solo from Star Wars A New Hope. This is the Han Solo Stormtrooper disguise. And I love this figure. This was actually the second figure ever that I bought from Hot Toys. I knew when I decided collecting them that in my A New Hope display, I had to have Han and Luke in their Stormtrooper disguise. And so Han was among the first I got. I prioritized getting him because he does come with the Death Star wall. I don't have it displayed here because it's all hooked up with lights, but you can see it there next to the other Death Star background, and I just love the way that it looks. I think it's really awesome that Hot Toys made them in their Stormtrooper disguises. And so originally I thought that they're just using a Stormtrooper body and the other Han Solo head sculpt. It wasn't until I got the other Han Solo from A New Hope, the one that comes with Chewbacca, that I realized this is actually a unique head sculpt. So it wasn't just Hot Toys kind of putting a bunch of stuff together that they already had. They made a very specific head sculpt, and I love this face sculpt. That's, that smirk is just classic Harrison Ford from Star Wars A New Hope. I think it looks so much like him. I think, to me, this looks more like him than even the Return of the Jedi Han Solo, even though that one is brand new and it's kind of like updated. And even though that one looks super realistic, to me, this just captures Harrison Ford's charm and scruffiness, if you will, from A New Hope. And I love the Death Star wall that comes with him, and the accessories are pretty much similar to what you would get with a stormtrooper, so nothing crazy. But yeah, overall, I think it's a great figure, and it's one that I love having in my collection. And I just think it represents Star Wars so perfectly. Right, number 7 on my list, Boba Fett. This is the Empire Strikes Back 40th Anniversary Edition. And I had a lot of trouble deciding which Boba Fett figure to get, because by the time I got into Hot Toys Star Wars, we had, the original Empire Strikes Back version. We had the 40th Anniversary Empire Strikes Back version. We also had the Return of the Jedi version. There was one that came with the Sarlacc pit. Then there was, the ones from his own TV show and The Mandalorian, which also had kind of a fresh color scheme and everything like that. So I had trouble really deciding which one to get, but eventually I figured, okay, you know what? Empire Strikes Back is his most iconic appearance, so I'm going to go with that one. And I'm really glad I did. I mean, the number of accessories that comes with this figure is just unheard of. I felt like I was unboxing it forever. It comes with so many things, and it even comes with a whole other set of armor and a helmet for you to use, like, I guess, concept art, which I've never done that. I've never kind of put him in the concept art. But he is in my upcoming figure matchup against Han Solo from Return of the Jedi. So be sure to tune into that, and you'll see all the accessories he comes with, and I'll finally swap out the armor. But yeah, I just think this figure looks amazing. There's so many different bits and pieces going everywhere. There's like pieces of what looks like braided hair, but I know it's not meant to be hair. I don't really understand it, but I guess it's just part of his outfit, showing that he was a scavenger and kind of just put stuff together. And he comes with his jetpack, obviously, and kind of like that side cloak or cape. And I just think Boba Fett's one of the coolest design characters, and I think we went from feeling like we didn't know enough about him to maybe then knowing too much about him. I think that when he was just this bounty hunter behind this mask, I think he was, it kind of added to his allure and mystique. But it's great knowing his history now, and we know that his dad was Jango Fett, and he's actually a clone and all that. So yeah, a lot of cool lore behind Boba Fett. But I love this figure. I don't think that, I think with all of the figures on this list, your collection just won't be complete without him. And that's kind of how I decided to come up with this list. I mean, I have a lot of great Hot Toys figures, and there's some that, I could probably do without. This is one that I definitely couldn't do without, and that's why he's number 7 on the list. So yeah, Boba Fett from Empire Strikes Back. All right, so number 6 on my list is Pilot Luke from The Empire Strikes Back. So it's funny because when I kept thinking about doing this ranking video, I knew I had a Luke Skywalker in the top 10. And I couldn't decide between Return of the Jedi Luke, which is the Endor Deluxe one that has all of the different, looks and everything like that, and one of my personal favorite Mark Hamill head sculpts, or the Bespin Luke, which I got recently, and it's the deluxe version that comes with, like, the Luke Skywalker face sculpt in the Vader mask, and it comes with both display bases, and I was like, oh, they're both so amazing. And then, today when I started really thinking about it, in terms of which one I really love having in the collection the most and which one to me represents Star Wars, I actually decided on this one. And even though the face sculpt is not my favorite, it is obscured with the helmet, so that makes it a little bit better. I remember when I first unboxed it, I was like, that does not look like Mark Hamill at all. Even though it looked like it in like blogger photos, it was kind of the opposite of Padme, where in pictures it looked good and then in hand it didn't look right. So I threw the helmet onto him and I just called it a day. But, I just love this orange kind of look, this pilot suit, and I think it looks kind of like he could be an X-Wing pilot or a snowspeeder pilot. And so having this 1/6 scale version, I really just love having it in my collection. And, my Empire Strikes Back collection is not that colorful, as you can see. So this pop of orange is really nice change of pace. And I just, love the Rebel markings on the helmet. I think that it's, one of Luke's most iconic looks. And it's actually, I think, my favorite Luke figure, which I didn't think so going into it because I was hyper focused on accessories and everything like that. And even though this one doesn't come with a ton of accessories, I love the display base, I love the helmet and all of that. And so it just made me realize, I mean, if I had to keep one Luke, believe it or not, this is the one I would pick, even though this is kind of the most inexpensive out of all three that I have. I just feel like it's the most iconic, it's the most Star Wars, and I love having it in the collection. All the details on the pilot suit are great. All the different materials and straps and buckles and everything. And there's very little pleather on it, which is nice too. The only thing I didn't like is that there wasn't a gloved trigger hand. So even though I have him holding the blaster here, he's kind of just holding the handle without the trigger finger. So I thought that that was a silly omission because they only have his, the other hand as the trigger finger. But other than that, which I think is a really minor gripe, I love this figure. I think it's great. And yeah, I'm just super happy to have this one in the collection, and I admire it all the time. So yeah, number 6, Pilot Luke from Empire Strikes Back. Alrighty, folks, if you're enjoying this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. I release new Hot Toys content every week, including reviews and figure matchups. All right, number 5, the Sand Trooper from Star Wars A New Hope. So this is another figure where as soon as I got into Star Wars Hot Toys, or the idea of getting Star Wars Hot Toys, I knew I had to have this figure. I figured because I was getting like the Stormtrooper disguised Han Solo that if I was going to get another trooper, I wanted it to be unique. And from the original trilogy, aside from the Scout Trooper and Snow Troopers, it's either this or the Stormtrooper Sergeant that came with the dewback. And that one, it has the white pauldron on it, but I really like the orange pauldron. So I knew I had to have it in 1/6 scale. And this is a figure that it just came with so much stuff. I mean, so many, different weapons and accessories and tools, and this backpack, and the weathering on it's just perfect. And I know that they made other Stormtroopers, I think either from Rogue One or The Mandalorian, that also had an orange pauldron, but they were like super clean. And so if you want one for your A New Hope display, this is the way to go. This figure is pretty pricey on the aftermarket. I think I paid a lot more than retail for it for sure, but it honestly felt like a deluxe version because of everything that it came with. And so again, that orange pauldron is my favorite part about it. But this is one that I love looking at in the collection. I think, again, around a sea of just, black and white and grays, I love that little pop of orange, and the weathering on it is great, and everything he comes with. And so, yeah, I love this figure. It would be hard for me to ever part with it. And, I think if I could only keep one trooper, it would be the Sand Trooper. Even though I love my Snow Troopers and my Scout Troopers, there's just something about this Sand Trooper and that orange pauldron that I love. All right, number 4 on the list, Anakin Artisan from Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. This figure, man, this figure gave me some trouble, and that's because by the time I decided to start collecting Star Wars Hot Toys, this figure had long since been waitlisted on Sideshow and was already fetching for like 1,000 plus on eBay. And in fact, it was right around the time when they announced the Japan version. And so both of those figures around the same time, and both of them were like going for $1,000, and I couldn't decide which one to get, and I couldn't decide if I was even going to get any. I figured, okay, we've got to get a sculpted version, right? Almost every other Artisan had a sculpted alternative, and it made no sense to me that this figure, which is a figure most people want in their collection, wouldn't have a sculpted version. So I kept holding out. Long story short, the sculpted version hasn't been announced yet, and I decided to finally get it. And I love the figure, don't get me wrong. I think the face sculpt's amazing. I feel like my hair and face sculpt came out really well. I know some people had some horror stories with their hair and with excessive glue. Actually, right out of the box, I was so impressed with mine, and I really loved it. But where my issue lies, and maybe it's not even that big of a deal, but it was a big deal to me, is the fact that they didn't include a USB Count Dooku lightsaber. Like, how are you going to display him in this pose with both lightsabers on the box and in the promo photos, and then not even give us a means to light it up? And it looks so dumb if you have the blue one lit and not the red one. And so I ended up going the fusion reactors route. And because, there's no other USB Dooku. Like, if the Attack of the Clones Dooku came with it, I would have just swapped it and given Dooku an unlit one. But, I mean, we had no other choice. Like, if you want to display Anakin with lit lightsabers, you had to go, either custom or just not go lit at all. And that really bothered me. And I know some people it kind of was annoying, but for me, it really, really bugged me. Because I wanted to display him with both. Like in my Revenge of the Sith display, I intend to have him with both lightsabers to kind of demonstrate his turn from good to evil, right? Have Obi-Wan on one side and Palpatine on the other. And, again, I have them both lit in my collection now. These are fusion reactors, lightsabers, which are unplugged. But, it really just bugged me. And I think two things. I think if I was able to get this figure, just for retail price, and it came with a lit Dooku lightsaber, I think it would probably be number one not number one, but maybe number two in my collection, because I love it. But because I had to pay an arm and a leg for it, and because it didn't come with a USB lit lightsaber, I kind of feel salty about it, especially when the Anakin from Attack of the Clones came with the blue and green USB lightsabers. And that scene wasn't even that iconic. There was 1 second where he held a random lightsaber, and yet they gave us 2 USB lit lightsabers for Anakin in Attack of the Clones. And yet this figure is supposed to be a deluxe. It's an artisan, and they only gave us 1 lit lightsaber. I'm still really salty about it. I can't get over it. It's getting me irked up just talking about it right now. But with that said, number 4 on my list. I love this figure. I love having it in my collection. But again, it just bugs me what I went through to get it and what I had to deal with in order to even display it the way I wanted to. Like needing to pay almost double retail price, which retail price was already a lot more than an average Hot Toys figure. And also needing to get custom lightsabers just to achieve the look I was going for. It made me kind of salty. But even with that, it's still number 4 on my list. So yeah, Anakin Artisan. Alrighty, number 3 on my list. This is Darth Sidious from Star Wars Episode 3. This is a figure that I did not expect to love as much as I did. In fact, I debated whether or not to even get it when I first got into collecting, and that's because by the time I had already looked into it, the new Darth Sidious / Chancellor Palpatine figure from Revenge of the Sith had already been announced, and I was like, okay, that seems like the better figure because it's got the standard head sculpt and then the deformed unlimited power head sculpt. But then I thought about it and I realized, okay, I actually want both in my collection. I need a standard Ian McDiarmid in my collection, and I need an evil Darth Sidious in my collection. For my prequel collection. So once I thought about it that way, I decided to go ahead and pick up this figure, and man, am I glad I did. Because as soon as I unboxed it, best figures I had the joy of unboxing and posing and just reviewing, and you can check out my full review on it on the channel from a few weeks ago. But man, I just really loved it. I thought the head sculpt was great. I'm a big fan of horror movies and all of that, and this figure just looks terrifying. It's definitely the scariest, if you will, figure in my collection. It looks like it could be out of the Conjuring universe. He just looks so sinister with the hood, or even without the hood is even creepier. And I can't say enough good things about this figure. I feel like this is his, most evil form, because technically the other figure is great and all, but I feel like that's better if you want the Chancellor Palpatine look. But if you want Darth Sidious, the other figure, it's got kind of a standard evil face sculpt. It's still deformed, but it's kind of just very whatever. This face sculpt is maniacal, crazy, and I feel like it really represents him when he officially became Darth Sidious and he was fighting Yoda and he just didn't care anymore. And so, yeah, I feel like if you need that evil Sidious in your collection, you need this figure. This is him at his most evil, and it's just a fantastic figure. I absolutely love it. I love the kind of the velvety look of the cowl, if you will, on his robes. And he looks great from every angle. So, number 3, Darth Sidious from Episode 3. All right, number 2, Darth Vader. This is the 40th anniversary Return of the Jedi edition. I had a lot of choices by the time I got into collecting because, we had A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. You had the one from the Obi-Wan Kenobi series and a battle damaged one coming as well. And so there was just so many different Vaders to choose from. But I decided on this one because I loved everything it included. I loved the light up display base. I love the the head sculpts that it came with. I love the electrified effect that it came with, as well as the stairs. It just came with so much stuff, as well as the light up features on the chest box and everything like that. So it seemed like the perfect original trilogy Vader to have. And I'm glad I chose this one. Now, I don't have any others to compare it to. Probably the only Vader I'll be getting is the one from Revenge of the Sith with the table and everything like that. So, but really, if you can only have one Vader to represent your entire original trilogy, I think this 40th anniversary Return of the Jedi one is the way to go. Is there anyone any more iconic than Darth Vader when it comes to Star Wars? I think that if you could only have one figure to represent your entire Star Wars, if you could only have one Hot Toys figure to represent Star Wars, I think this could be that figure. That's how good it is. It just embodies everything there is to embody about Star Wars, as well as what makes Hot Toys great. When you have it all plugged in like I do in my display, all of the blinking lights and the lightsaber and everything and the display base, it's just phenomenal. And so I can't recommend this figure enough. In my opinion, it's one of the best Vaders you can buy. It's number 2 in my collection. Alrighty. If you've been watching my channel, this should come as no surprise to you, but number 1 is Darth Maul 2.0 from Star Wars The Phantom Menace. I actually just got this figure not too long ago and I made a review on it, so be sure to check that out as well. I essentially just gush about this figure for 10 minutes. I absolutely love it. I think it's the perfect Hot Toys figure. And, that's saying a lot because there's a lot of great figures out there, but the head sculpt, both head sculpts, if one amazing head sculpt wasn't enough, we got 2 incredible head sculpts. That so much so that I need to get another Darth Maul figure just to display that other head sculpt because I can't decide. I think the standard one looks a little bit more like Ray Park, but this one does too, and I just absolutely love it. Now, I got the deluxe version with the speeder. I think even if you get it without the speeder, you're going to be in great shape. The speeder does take a lot of room. And I think if I didn't get the speeder version, I probably would have ended up just displaying him with just his double lightsaber and the more standard serious face. But with the speeder and him jumping off of it, I needed the angry expression, and so I really want to display that other head sculpt. But I love everything about this figure. It's just, I never had any other Darth Maul figure, so I know for some people who had like the 1.0, it may have been hard to justify upgrading to the 2.0. Now, I know a lot of people did, and that's just how good the head sculpt is. I said with Darth Vader that Darth Vader can kind of represent all of Star Wars, for me. But my favorite character in Star Wars is Darth Maul. And, we started the ranking with red and black. We're finishing it with red and black. I love red and black together. And, he's my favorite character probably across any franchise. Even though he didn't do much in the movie, I mean, I think just the way he looks is just the best, the coolest character design ever. And if you're going to get a Hot Toys Darth Maul, this is the one to get. And so, yep, with all that said, again, watch my review if you want to hear more about it and see all the features. But this is my number 1 favorite Hot Toys Star Wars figure in my collection. And you know what? Let's throw Marvel into the mix. This is my favorite Hot Toys figure of all time across any franchise or that I own. And I own about maybe 70 Hot Toys figures now between Marvel and Star Wars, and this guy is number 1. Alrighty, folks, well, I hope you enjoyed my ranking video. Again, all opinions are my own. Please let me know in the comments what your top 10 favorite Hot Toys Star Wars figures in your collection are. And yeah, let's talk about it. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel. I release Hot Toys videos every week and would really appreciate the support. Also, shout out to the real Anakin Skywalker 21 for giving me the idea to make this video. And yeah, I'll see you next time.
When I flip, you flip, we flip.